the story.
I think so.
He leaked the story in the first place.
I think
that's right. And Nina Totenberg has long been associated with leftist causes, left-wing politics.
You know about
Nina Totenberg, whose husband is involved in the Democratic Party. This is not a fair reporter.
No.
This is a person with an agenda.
Exactly.
And it's obvious. You know, what she ought to do is do a talk show. Then we wouldn't mind the fact that she has her own opinion, right?
Yeah, very 10 seconds at most. I went in as a neutral observer of Nina Totenberg. It's the first time I ever saw her, and I thought she was a sweet lady. But then when I saw the gleam in her eye after the four ladies in Miss Hill's corner went off, and then the senator came on for a little interview and said he was going to vote against Thomas, and the gleam that came on her eye, and then she got that, when the camera was off her and it came back to her, she said, in my hands I had the lie detector test and all this. She was just thrilled, and then she tried to dismantle both of them, tried to undo the next senator who came on who said that he was going to vote for Judge Thomas. Do you remember that little sequence? But anyway, you're right on with that, and thanks.
She appears on Channel 13. When Robert McNeil introduces her, he introduces her as though he is introducing some luminary, some visionary, some Amazon of intellect, some person who is we should genuflect for.
Yeah, right.
I would say that the best thing that happened in this case was the low-key profile of the Senator Ted Kennedy, and that is what I call the beginning of an end of an era for Senator Kennedy. Can you imagine, Bob, what he has done to this country? He killed himself.
Well, I hope you're right about the beginning of the end of this swine, this drunken sot, this individual who some people say has gotten away with murder. Hey, Jerry. If you think you're bothering me, if you think you're angering me, you're wrong, because you're not bothering me one single bit.
Well,
you keep saying gratuitous. Virtually everything that's said is gratuitous. Look it up and you'll find that it is. Nina Totenberg. Nina Totenberg.
What she's saying.
Nina Totenberg is a vicious left-wing ideologue masquerading as an objective reporter. And not only that, if you take a good look at it, no, you don't even have to take a good look at her. What I said about her physical appearance, I stand by. Why you're so bothered by it is beyond me. Hey, look, pal, look, Glenn.
Yeah.
You live on Long Island.
Yeah.
You've already said you're a Democrat. At least you're honest in admitting.
Yeah, I am.
So therefore, you want to defeat the senator in 1992. It's obvious that that's what you're striving for.
He's a hard one.
Then what you ought to do is whoever wins. If you want Bobby Abrams in there, if you want Jerry the Chin Ferraro, if you want hatchet face Liz Holtzman, you're welcome to them. But I tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll take Al D'Amato to the three creeps I just mentioned any day of the week.
I happen to agree with you, but I'm sick of this guy.
All right. We have 1 minute to go. Oh.
Yes. I just wanted to bring up a point that I wonder if anyone has noticed. Everybody seems to be directed to be viewing this situation in a certain light. And we're not seeing the whole picture here. So what we're getting is a lot of emotional reactions, a lot of reflex reactions, a lot of defensive reactions. And we're not seeing the whole picture.
So you've said.
Did you read the Tower Commission report?
The Taylor Commission report?
No, the Tower Commission report by John Tower regarding Iran-Contra.
I know the report you mean. What does this have to do with...
It has to do with lie detector tests. In the Tower Commission report, and we're also talking about someone who is being appointed to a major position in our country who was involved in the Reagan administration and Iran-Contra. There was a person called Gurbanifar.
I know. You know what's going to happen? You're going to be telling this long story, convoluted as it is, and nobody's going to know what you're talking about. You'll have to speak right to the point if you want to be heard. Otherwise, I'll have to go to another caller.
Okay, I'll do that. The fact is, Gurbanifar was a participant in Iran Contra, was given a series of lie detector tests by, I believe it was by the CIA. All of those tests he failed. The Reagan administration deliberately ignored the fact that he failed those lie detector tests and chose to do business with him anyway. And the person who asked him, who had given the test,
you say that
he was lying about almost every question asked regarding hostages, but indicated he was not.
Listen, I
not the person for the job. Now we have Anita Hill, who passes the lie detector test, and we're trying to cover that up. And on top of that, Mr. Thomas is not being asked to take a lie detector test.
You know what? You're an old bag, that's what you are. John, you're on WABC. Hello.
Bob?
Yes.
I want to make no mistake about it. I believe we're involved in, this is the last battle of the ideological warfare. The political left, the political correctness movement is trying to take over, even though they lost the election. We elected George Bush. Now they are trying again. They balked, and they want to do it to Clarence Thomas. Let me say this, that if we cannot let Eleanor Smeal, that scum, Jesse Jackson, Bella Abzug, control our thoughts, tonight will be a glorious victory for the normal people of the United States of America. We will beat the queers. We will beat the extreme left wing of the Democratic Party. Once again, they will be beaten down. And I will tell you one more thing before I get off. It will call into question all the senatorial elections where Democratic senators were elected. Somehow, I don't believe it. The American people seem to be squarely with Clarence Thomas, not with Anita Hill.
All right, listen, John, appreciate your call. It is a victory wrested from the jaws of a giant maw. A maw which is comprised of an alliance of militant feminists, militant racists, pressure groups of one kind and another, and their stooges, their panderers in the United States Senate, aided and abetted by a sympathetic media that attempts wherever possible to orchestrate its presentation in such a way as to give its darlings of the left the upper hand, wherever possible, to alert you to the clever deceptions of the left wing in this country. Why is it, ladies and gentlemen, if the left wing, if a Teddy Kennedy, if a Joe Biden, if a Patrick Leahy, if a Herbert Kohl, if a Donald Regal, if any one of those left-wing Democrats wants to look into anything, it is an investigation. Please follow this. It's an investigation. But when someone from the other side of the political spectrum wants to look into anything, it's called a witch hunt. Why is it any time we, who are not of the left, want to look into anything, we're accused of conducting a witch hunt? Why am I saying this? I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that that far left-winger, Norman Lear, who has made hundreds of millions of dollars caricaturing the family, the Bunker family, that Norman Lear and a group of other left-wingers founded a group a few years ago called People for the American Way. And they should be found guilty by the FDA for mislabeling. If ever there was a mislabeled product, it is this organization, People for the American Way. But that is the name they chose in order to confuse, to obfuscate. But that is the name they chose. People for the American Way. This ultra-liberal group that focuses on constitutional issues from their point of view says this, and let me quote, We fear Republicans will initiate a witch hunt centered on the group to find who leaked the Hill allegations. Who says that? Far left, though, Arthur Kropp. Although with an A would be far more appropriate. But anyway. Stop and think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Anytime someone other than the left wing conducts an investigation, it's called a witch hunt. The American people the American people demand, the American people deserve to find out who leaked the Anita Hill allegation. Now, keep this in mind. Although so many of us found Anita Hill to be contemptible, it must be pointed out that she wanted to lodge the killing complaint without any publicity. She was hoping that she could be an assassin in the night, striking a hit-and-run strike, hitting Clarence Thomas and running into the darkness and never being revealed. And because she could not back up her scurrilous, slanderous charge, the FBI's report to Joe Biden was disregarded. And as several members of the committee pointed out, including Joe Biden, they received thousands and thousands of tips. Therefore, let me reiterate for those of you who just don't know, and I don't blame you if you're confused by it all, Anita Hill did not want to back up her charges. And because of that, they disregarded her charges.
Good afternoon. It seems to me, do you think the American people will wake up and realize that our newscasters are not as not fair as they should be? They're supposed to be so-called journalists. But last night, everyone was sent the Republican mudslinging because the Republicans finally woke up and figured we're going to fight fire. We're not going to lay down and take this.
No. Well, you see, that's typical. And my network, this network, is grossly guilty.
Oh yes.
As a matter of fact, when they were promoting the Nightline program with Ted Koppel, they said they used that phrase.
Yes, they did, and so did our Canadian friend.
Well, of course, he may be your friend. He's not mine.
Not mine. He's not my friend at all. But I mean, all the stations. If you just scanned them all.
Yep.
Totenberg on PBS. She shrunk into herself, but she brought herself back up when she could throw the mud.
I wonder if there is an internist or a specialist, a doctor in the audience who could call and tell us if it's possible to actually die from overquelling.
I think so. I think that might be the case.
I mean, I've never seen such gross quelling in my life. And wouldn't it be nice if she would expire right on camera? Listen, I thank you for the call.
Oh,
and then Senator Mikulski from Maryland. This is what she said. Well, Mr. President, what we saw was not a hearing, but an inquisition. And there were Republican senators who rushed into the role of the Grand Inquisitor. Now, I don't know what hearing she was watching, but I did not see any kind of inquisition on Anita Hill.
Well, I want to congratulate Barbara Mikulski because back before she defeated Linda Chavez for that Senate seat in the state of Maryland, I was asked about her, and I commented that I thought that maybe if she would permit a brain surgeon to examine her cranium, they might find she was operating without a brain. This is a real airhead, a real doparoo. She proves it each and every time she opens her very considerable mouth. It was an absurd statement for several reasons, not the least of which is the Inquisition was not designed to be inquisitive of of the person by the name of Anita Hill, the Inquisition was designed as a tool against Clarence Thomas. And it was because of Anita Hill's absurd 11th hour charges that we had to put Clarence Thomas on the spot. So what's she talking about? As far as Robert Byrd is concerned, Robert Byrd is one of those politicians who, if he had not gone real bad and gotten into politics, probably would have been one of America's foremost cinema actors. No, you're laughing. This man is an inveterate performer. This man would have loved to have played King Lear or some role such as that. He is such a big ham, it's pathetic. I saw him do the same thing prior to the vote last winter on Operation Desert Storm.
Yeah.
And he equaled himself with this absurd, ludicrous, childish, histrionic meandering, this maudlin, it's like a stream of consciousness. Maybe he thinks he's in his psychiatrist's office. The man is in his dotage. He should be put out to pasture and allowed to play his violin. You know, he plays a country and western violin.
Oh, he does?
Yep.
It looks like he's starting to shake. I think he should retire.
No, he's got palsy. Who knows? Maybe his real name is Al and his last name is Zymer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Absolutely pathetic, Robert Byrd.
This is Al from Chappaqua. Anita Hill, that ingrate, is supposed to be a professor of law. Now, when she came to the hearing, if she knows so much about law, how come she had to show up with an entourage of 3 or 4 lawyers and read her statement, unlike Judge Thomas, who stated this case without notes extemporaneously? Now, also, about Patrick Leahy, that left-wing senator from the Red Mountain State of Vermont, formerly the Green Mountain State. He looks like a pig with glasses on, but no pun intended to the pig. Now, it's funny around these parts in Chappaqua. When you defend Judge Thomas to the women over that Bhutan Anita Hill, you are a racist. The last time I looked at Judge Thomas, he was black, but liberals can twist the truth without a twinge of conscience.
Hello.
Yes.
Good little pipsqueak you are.
No.
It's like don't get slick.
Why don't you give them an answer? This guy is a gavoon, if you want to talk about a gavoon. I'm surprised.
No, you're the gaboon.
No.
You're the gaboon.
This guy is a gavoon. Talking about the size of his penis, is that an acceptable? See, if you would have said, I don't know what's true. But when you said, what if it was? What's wrong with it? I couldn't understand.
I don't see that he did anything so terrible 9-10 years ago. If she thought it was so awful.
Would you have done this 9-10 years ago? You wouldn't have done this.
Oh, forget about me. I'm a degenerate. Don't count me. Don't include me. I'm a degenerate. I say anything I want. I'll say to you that you are a little bit fake phony. Whenever a guy starts out
Italian American, my friend, and I'm talking as an Italian American.
Why don't you talk as an American? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Win me over?
No, not.
You see, may I tell?
You just gave me a whole.
Do I have to hang up?
You gave me a whole damn list of Italians that did something. But you would.
Do I have to?
You deal with.
Hey, Cornu, do I have to hang up on you?
You're a Cornu.
I'm not married, pal. Hey, are you married? Are you married?
I'm married.
Well, then you're a Cornu. How does that grab you? Skunk? You want to meet me? Hey, I haven't met anybody in a long time. What do you want to meet, pal? What do you want to meet, huh? Want to meet someplace in New Jersey? I'll punch your dumb gaboon nose right down your throat.
Why don't you explain to people what a gurnud is?
I don't want to.
Why, are you afraid to say?
No, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of you, you punk.
I didn't say you should be afraid of me.
Oh, okay. Why do you try to ingrate? Stop. Stop. Hold it.
Tell your daughter, it's okay, dear. He can say how large his...
You see, this guy doesn't like my answer.
No,
and because he doesn't like my answer, he's exposing himself for what he is, a pathetic gavone.
Wasn't the right answer. You don't know what was true, but don't ever say, what if it were true? It's nothing. This was a
wait a minute. Hold it. Phil, hold it. This guy. Do I have to hang up on you? Is that the only way for me to get a point across? Why do you keep talking? I'm trying to make a point. And the point is very simply this. I stand by my guns. when I say I don't think it was so awful that he should be charged with sexual harassment. And the fact of the matter is, even if he did say it, I don't think that in and of itself disqualifies him. Now, if you think that disqualifies him, then you would have voted against him. But the vote has been taken. The man is now a member of the United States Supreme Court, and let's hope and pray that he becomes a good Supreme Court justice. But I'm more interested in you, because I'm not talking to Clarence Thomas right now. I'm talking to you. Why did you feel it incumbent upon yourself at the very outset of the conversation to say, I'm a Republican? I didn't ask you what party you were registered in, did I? Where are you?
Okay, let's not, again, I just said that I'm not from the liberal-minded persons insofar as to attack it. But I just didn't like that statement made that this is an all-right thing to do.
I didn't say it was all right. I didn't say it was that devastating. I didn't say it was something that loomed so large in my mind that would disqualify
Would
him.
it be from the mouth of an intelligentsia? Would you say that would be would you say we're dealing with an individual who is a redneck? We're talking about an intelligent person, a graduate, a lawyer.
Hey, even intelligent people get horny, you know that? As a matter of fact, according to the Kinsey report, the higher up the educational level, the more people get kinky. I mean, college girls experiment with more kinky sex than girls who've only gone to high school. Did you know that? This guy's probably going to go look for a college girl now. Yeah, what?
Your daughter. If it were your...
I have two daughters. Please, don't. I have two daughters.
What if would you accept that? Would you really?
Well, they're both mature women. They both have families of their own.
Would you accept
They both are mothers themselves.
So would you accept?
You make it sound like you know what? You're a bore. You're a bore. Little putrid gavone. Little putrid gavone. The trouble with guys like him is you can't. My father used to say that two people you should never argue with: somebody that's way smarter than you and somebody that's much dumber than you. Now, guess what category Phil falls into? Hello, Jane. You're on WABC.
Hi. How are you? You're just like.
Grant, I'd like to let you know about another scandal involving the New York City administration.
Yeah.
On October 1st, the Chinese Communist government used the New York City public school to celebrate 42 years of communist rule over mainland China. Now, that's illegal, so when I did the check on it, I called up the Board of Education, and I asked them, I said, I'm with the Republican Party. I'd like to rent school space to hold the meeting. They said, no, you can't. School property can only be used for political activity when it's between different parties expressing different viewpoints. So that means that religious people cannot use our schools, patriotic Americans cannot use our schools, but a foreign communist government for the death of millions, Tiananmen Square and all of that, could use New York City public schools with the apparent of top New York City officials.
It is a disgrace, and if it weren't that there is a pattern of these absurd, obscene things, it might arouse more ire. But I think what's happened is a lot of people have become inured to this type of thing. They expect the bizarre. They expect the ridiculous. They expect the absurd. It is the theater of the absurd, presided over now by a man who did not file his income tax for 4 straight years, a man who was questioned about the changing of a date on a document in order to prevent his being prosecuted for fraud, a man who comes into the office of mayor of the largest city in America with absolutely nothing to commend him. At best, you could say he was a mediocre hack in the political scheme of things. A man who really, if he would just put on a white coat, a little white jacket, and stand in the men's room at 21, would look more in place than he does being the absurd buffoon, the bumbler that he is. Outside of that, well, you can't get too mad at him because people say, well, he's really a nice guy, but that is not the point here. What?
The full story's come out in the Washington Inquirer. There's more information, but I only get, I don't have...
I thank you for the call.
Hi. I watched the town meeting last night, and I saw Senator Bradley
saying that people were underrepresented in the Senate, that there weren't enough women and there weren't enough minorities.
Well, then why didn't he lose to
exactly.
Christine Todd Whitman?
He used the power of his incumbency, and I believe Senator Simon also did.
Yeah, he lost to Lynn Martin, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what choice do we have? Apparently the women who were running against him weren't to the philosophy of the women who were sitting in the audience.
No, but you see, I'm so glad, Mary of Warren, New Jersey, out there in Warren County, I'm so glad that you brought this up. Ladies and gentlemen, what Mary has brought up exposes the Bill Bradleys of America for being what I've said they are, fake, phony, fraud, hypocrite, cheats. Here's a guy who pulled out all the stops to defeat Christine Todd Whitman in his re-election bid, and because the Republican Party didn't spend any money and didn't help Christine Todd Whitman, she was outspent by Bill Bradley 12-1. Some say it was 10-1, but he will say even 10-1. She was outspent. He won, and then he has the nerve to say there should be more women in the Senate. Why, you big lug phony. I wasn't talking to you, Mary. I was talking to your senator.
Well,
one such smug, arrogant, leftist member of the media, one of the most visible journalists on the Clarence Thomas story, has been the very smug National Public Radio reporter Nina Totenberg. Nina Totenberg, who has a leftist agenda. Nina Totenberg, who is introduced by Robert McNeil as though she is Mother Cabrini or Sister Teresa. Nina Totenberg, who broke earlier negative stories about judicial nominees, and who was the second journalist to break the Anita Hill story. I'm happy to report to you that Miss Totenberg claims these scoops have been the product of hard work. But in a recent Washington Post profile, she talked about how she herself was a victim of sexual harassment when she worked at the now defunct National Observer, which was published by Dow Jones and Company, the publisher of this newspaper. In the article, she left the impression that the harassment was behind her firing over charges of plagiarism. Well, here are the facts. In December 1972, the Washington Post's Myra McPherson wrote a piece about Thomas P. O'Neill, who was about to be elected House Majority Leader. A week later, Ms. Totenberg wrote a profile of Representative O'Neill for the Observer. The final paragraph of the Post story quoted Tip O'Neill telling how John F. Kennedy teased him about once getting 4 more votes in a precinct than Mr. O'Neill did, and knowing which family was responsible for the difference. The lead paragraph in Ms. Totenberg's story repeated virtually verbatim 5 sentences of the Post paragraph. And members of Mr. O'Neill's family still remember Ms. McPherson reporting that story. They can't recall talking to Ms. Totenberg. 4 other substantial and identical quotations occurred in both stories. For example, former Representative Thomas Reese told Ms. McPherson that Representative O'Neill would be a lot more open to innovation and reform than other leaders and would be more aggressive and flexible about putting younger members into positions of responsibility. Now, the quotes appeared verbatim in the Observer's story. And Mr. Reese says he spoke at length with Ms. McPherson, but doesn't remember ever talking to Ms. Totenberg. In an interview, Nina Totenberg insists what I did or I didn't do almost 20 years ago isn't the issue. Oh, no? I believe I left the Observer because I was being sexually harassed. But Lionel Linder, who was a top editor at that paper in 1973, and who happens to be the editor of the Commercial Appeal of Memphis, says flatly, Ms. Totenberg was fired because, quote, and I'm quoting now, folks, whatever extenuating circumstances, it was clear that she plagiarized. Purposeful plagiarism is one of the cardinal sins of journalism from which reporters can never recover their credibility. There is no statute of limitations on that judgment. In short, nobody emerges from the Thomas fiasco looking like a winner. Reformers talk about changing the process so this kind of mess will never happen again, but it's a pipe dream.
Ted Koppel's town meeting. I heard a lot of talk from black activists like the tax evader, Eleanor Holmes Norton. I think there should be a congressional investigation into why she's out and not in jail for evading taxes for the last 9 years. However, I heard her flapping about how the system has to be changed. I think that I think one of the best ways of making the change, according to them, is throwing a monkey wrench into the judicial process. And I think Anita Hill's statement in the Times this morning that she accomplished what she set out to do left some people mystified, but I think putting the two together, I don't think she was talking about sexual harassment charges and things like that. I think sexual harassment was a red herring, and I think that what she was really trying to do was throw the monkey wrench into the judicial system. And with people like Ms. Norton, and after listening to her, I began to wonder if perhaps what it's all about is they just want quotas of blacks and women on the Supreme Court so that they can change our wonderful country's laws into some kind of law to suit themselves, you know, as they want to change history and everything else. And I think one of the best ways to do that is, as I said, by changing the Supreme Court. And I think Anita Hill is especially despicable because she acts so innocent and, you know, and pretends to be such a poor little put-upon innocent, you know. But I don't think that she is. I mean, from some of the things I've heard about, you know, the way she conducts her classes, she's anything but. I think that people have to be aware that there's an insidious force of malcontents in this country, like her and like Ms. Norton, who hate everything our country stands for, and they'll stoop to anything to create a revolution, bloodless or otherwise. And I think Anita Hill is one of their tools. You know, and I think she's like a snake, you know, who infiltrates a sewer pipe into your house.
Okay, thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you very much for the call.
You're welcome.
Commented on the Japanese not being able to afford the lighting of the tree in the Rockefeller Center. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
That's our first dividend of the Japanese buying Rockefeller Center.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad the Japanese take that point of view.
You are?
Yep. I think the ceremonies, all it does is create traffic jams. It's, hey, same thing every year. Woo, and then they turn the switch and people go, oh, like they never saw it before.
To many people, it's the starting of the Christmas season.
You know, I don't like the Christmas season. No, I don't like it. You know why? Because it's so commercial. I don't understand this obsession that you got to get gifts for everybody and everybody's got a gift for you.
Well,
what is, you know, hey, listen, I'm no big religious guy, believe me.
Me neither.
But what is Christmas? What is it?
Right.
What is it? Wait a minute. What is it supposed to be? What it's supposed to be and what it is are entirely two different things. It's a phony holiday, pal.
All right. The other matter is, and I don't know if this has been resolved or not, but...
I bet you this guy's sorry he called. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm not sorry at all.
Oh, okay.
It's a pleasure. The other matter is the possible inviting of the Japanese on the 50th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. As a veteran, I resent this, and they don't belong there with our veterans that served. I served in the European theater, but I'm sensitive to the veterans that went through the Bataan Death March and the prisons, and it's wholly a day that the veterans from our country should observe without faith.
Well, I think it's a good idea that they're there, and I'll tell you why. Because I want as much publicity concerning December 7th, 1941, a day we were told by our president and commander-in-chief, a date that would live in infamy, and it hasn't lived in infamy, and just maybe by having them there we can focus attention on what started World War II, or at least America's entry into World War II. Do you know there are some, thanks to Peter Jennings and other left-wing skunks, there are school children who think it all started on August 6th, 1945. That was the date we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. And then August 9th, 1945, when we dropped the second bomb on Nagasaki. That's what they think caused World War II, or America's entry into World War II. Don checking in right now. Hello, Don.
Yeah, Bob?
Yeah.
I'd like to protest some of the things that you say as probably one of the 4 or 5 people that listen to you with some degree of regularity. Your hatred of Democrats as if they were people from Mars and not Americans, the same as you are. And your loving of everything and anything that the Republicans do. I think if the Republicans put a monkey on a ballot, you would come out for that monkey.
Why did I applaud when Joe Lieberman beat Lowell Weicker, then, if that's the case?
Well, Bob, there's an exception to every rule.
That's right. Why did I laud David Boren a little while ago?
Why did you? Because he happened to vote the way that you wanted.
Of course, but he's a Democrat. See, I don't hold that against him. But he's a good Democrat. He's an Oklahoma Democrat. He's not a New Jersey Democrat. He's not a New York Democrat. A bunch of left-wing liberal skunks.
I've heard you, Lord David Duke. You've had him on your program at least twice that I know of.
I have had him on the program. I'll probably have him on again, but that doesn't mean I lauded him. Having someone on the program is not the same as lauding him. Why do you stoop so low, Don, that you want to invoke David Duke? I'll tell you why. I'll answer the question for you, pal.
Right.
Because you know your argument is empty. It's meaningless.
It's not empty, Bob. The trouble is,
specious.
You don't want to give anybody else the right, as you say at the beginning of your program,
to be heard,
to express our opinions and to be heard. But the only opinion you're really interested in is your own. I say, thank God. Thank God for Bob Grant. That's right. But you want to know something, Bob? Anybody that goes around hating the Congress the way that you do, hating Americans the way that you do.
Hating what?
Hating Americans and the Congress.
Hating Americans?
Bob, I've heard.
Well, there are a lot of Americans I hate. That's true. Even though they're Americans, I still hate them because they are evil. Right now, I don't hate you. I pity you because you are truly an empty suit.
Have you ever said you hope a Supreme Court justice drops dead?
Yeah.
Have you ever said that?
I have. I proudly cheered. Yeah. I proudly cheered when Brennan had to leave the court, when Marshall had to leave the court.
Right.
They didn't croak.
Right.
But they will someday.
Won't we all, Bob?
Really? I didn't know that. No kidding.
Well, I'll tell you something, Bob.
Yeah,
Once
Don.
Once in a while, I'd like you to stand up and say, you know, I'm a real American. And because another American has a different opinion, doesn't make him a bad guy or a weak guy or a stupid guy. We don't still pick on Dick Nixon. And Dick Nixon is the only president I know of that resigned. And we had a lot of other things that go on. You were carrying on about Oliver North. Now, there's a guy in...
By the way, Don, thank you, Don. Don, you are doing me a huge favor.
Yes.
Thank you, Don. Don just reminded me, ladies and gentlemen, next Wednesday on the Bob Grant Show, in person, in our studio, will be Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, U.S. Marines, retired. Yes.
Traitor.
Yeah.
Traitor to the country. You see, anybody...
Traitor to the country?
Yes, absolutely.
A traitor? Do you know what a traitor to the country is?
I sure do.
A traitor to the country is a person who sells secrets to an enemy.
Yes.
A traitor to the country is a person who aids and abets a foreign power to the detriment of his own nation. How dare you call him a traitor? How dare you call him a traitor? You know why you call him a traitor? Because he was a traitor to the idiotic Boland Amendment, which was only injuring this country.
Right, because...
Hey, Don, you know, you're one of the few guys, Don, I really want to meet in person. I'll tell you why, because there's something insidiously repulsive about you. You are a little two-bit squirt.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not?
Two-bit? No, I'm not.
Get off my phone, you jerk. On WABC, let's say hello to Mike, checking in right now. Hello, Mike.
Bob.
Yes.
Pleasure. This guy, Don, who we were just talking to, should have been on the Ted Koppel Comedy Hour the other night asking questions with those other clowns.
But anyway, I think we'll dedicate the rest of the program to Don. Ladies and gentlemen, the remainder of the balance of the Bob Grant Show on this date, October 18th, 1991, is dedicated to the caller 2 callers ago, that little runt, that little pipsqueak, that little nerd, Don.
I was just listening to your program, and I just wanted to comment. I was just very disappointed to hear how you handled criticism. by the person that you had spoken to. I think it was only a couple of people.
What do you mean by disappointed?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of problems in this country.
No, wait. What do you mean by... Don't make any sanctimonious, arrogant speeches. What do you mean by disappointed? Does that... Now, hear me out and then you can respond. Disappointed implies that you know me or know of me or feel that you expect my performance to be what it has been in the past, and I let you down. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is that as a radio broadcaster, you know, you have.
Wait a minute. This is not a news program.
Well,
I'm not delivering the news.
Right.
This is the Bob
Grant. You have a very big influence on the public.
I hope I do. Maybe I can educate the public to think a little better. Maybe, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to do this program.
Right.
And anybody who doesn't like the way I conduct it has a choice. They can tune the program off. So if you feel displeased, you can tune it off. But don't give me this highfalutin, I was disappointed. Don't give me that. I don't care for that.
Look, we have 1 million cases of cancer, new cases of cancer every year. We have an ozone problem. You can't ignore these things.
What am I supposed to? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What do you want me to?
Die of cancer?
What is that?
We have 1 million new cases every year.
What do you want me to do? Cure cancer?
Since
all right, I'll get to the laboratory. Will somebody take over? I'm going to go to the lab. Give me that test tube. I want to shove it somewhere. Yeah, what?
That's my point.
What is your point?
You're talking to me now, sanctimonious. Hey, I want to live. If you don't want to, then that's one thing. But to tell everybody else in the world that they don't want to live, they want to die of cancer?
I never told anybody.
That they should ignore Iran Contra. They should ignore this. Anita Hill stuff is a bunch of baloney. But all these things, they go together.
But in all seriousness, I really don't think your criticism of me is fair. But there are other areas you could criticize me for. You could say I am too impatient. You'd be right. That I have a short fuse. You'd be right. Sometimes I can be very sarcastic. You'd be right. I have many shortcomings. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I'm guilty of not curing cancer. I'm not here to cure cancer. I wish I could. Thank you very much. I'm surprised that more people didn't pick up on that. That this so-called witness in behalf of Anita Hill, this very dyke-appearing individual, Judge Hirschner, that people didn't remember that she had said, no, I never had a sexual harassment charge. And then our inspector said, oh, may I assist you? I believe you were in error. And then he points out that indeed the record shows she was involved. And then conveniently, oh, yes, now that you mention, you're right, yes, I remember that. What a fake, what a phony, what a fraud. Betty Friedan?
No, the other one, the Ms. Magazine lady.
Gloria Steinem?
Yeah.
Well, Betty Friedan wrote The Feminine Mystique back in 1963, and that is considered to be the beginning of what they call the feminist movement. But we do have to be grateful to Betty Friedan for one thing.
What?
About a year ago, the Puxatawny Express, this is a train in the mountains of western Pennsylvania, was out of control. And this train was hurtling on a 6% grade, hurtling downhill. And they couldn't stop the doggone train. Somebody thought of getting a huge photo of Betty Friedan. They put it in front of the train.
And it stopped.
And the train stopped dead in its tracks. But you try hard, Nick. In your pathetic little way, you call every week, and you seek your few minutes in the sun. How pathetic. What an empty life that the only way you feel you can attain any kind of satisfaction is to call a Bob Grant program. Nick, I'm going to tell you what I've told you a couple of other times. You're a jerk. Well, of course, he doesn't have to resign. You know, Michael Dukakis didn't resign when he ran for governor.
Mm-hmm.
However, Il Supremo has painted himself in a corner somewhat because he did say that you really couldn't run for president and maintain the state at the same time. He did say that he didn't think it was the right thing to do. But then again, he's so clever and so shifty, he might come up with some revelation. Maybe God told him it was okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly think that he would be a man of his word.
A politician, a man of his word, especially a Machiavellian, unctuous character like Il Supremo?
Well put.
Work with white, that's the reason?
Well, that isn't the only reason.
You know what it notes it down to now? It's political now, isn't it?
Well,
that's what it really is. It's political.
Well, I don't know why you're asking me questions, Tom. You have all the answers. Why bother asking anybody else?
Well, I want you to inform your audience.
I see. Well, thank you, Tom. Maybe we'll do the
No,
if
it's a 50-50 tie, then what's his name? Quayle obviously would have voted for Thomas, right? And of course, Quayle is a stooge for Bush, right?
He's not a stooge for Bush. Quayle is the vice president.
But can he?
And we don't have vice presidents opposing presidents.
Right. So what?
You have an odd
what
way
are they then?
You know what, Tom?
What?
You're a pain in the you-know-where. On WABC, what an oddball. What an oddball. What do you expect from a guy that has nothing better to do in life except call the Bob Grant show? This is Tom from Patterson. Get out of my life, will you, Tom? Peter, you're on.
I see. Well, do you think Anita Hill was put up by some pseudo-feminist, lesbian Congress, to attack men or something like that?
No.
You don't think she was coerced by a group?
No, I don't think she was coerced. No.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, gee, what do I come in here for with all these gavones? I mean, what guy in his right mind? I mean, stop and think about it. Guys in his, I don't have to come in here. There's no chain on me. There's nobody with a gun saying you must get in there and talk to those guys. But why do I do it? Is there a psychiatrist in the house? There's a psychiatrist? I guess not. They're all lying down on their couches, trying to figure out what their patient said in the last session. I know.
Long-time listener. I had a question for Colonel North involving a memorandum that he wrote and was discovered in his safe. One of the things he didn't shred, but it was discovered in his safe by a legal order from a judge in Boston who was the judge in the LaRouche and his associate's trial. And I guess.
Are you a follower of Lyndon LaRouche?
Am I a follower? No,
yeah.
I read the newspaper.
No. Come on, don't be cutesy. You're a LaRouche, aren't you?
I'll tell you, Bob. My question to
now, you are a LaRouche follower, and you don't want to admit it because you know that your credibility is shot once you admit it.
Well, you had an interest in the Iran arms deal question. Now, it's important for you to understand that the LaRouche people had put out a book called Hostage to Khomeini in 1980.
Yeah, but LaRouche has been exposed for what he is, a crackpot, and his followers are crackpots.
Fine. But nonetheless, Bob,
fine, huh?
you were interested in information. This went to the court.
Well, you don't get information from Lyndon LaRouche. You get an incredible, weird propaganda.
This went before the court. Now, the judge brought exculpatory evidence into the Boston trial. Ollie North, because of his concern about the arms dealing, was put into a COINTEL operation with C-Court. Now, this is public information. The jury that was put together in Virginia, one of the jury foreman was one of Oliver North's associate at FEMA, the 100-man grouping that was put together under Executive Order 12331 by Reagan. And that the jury foreman, one of North's associates, was the man who actually put LaRouche in jail. I mean, that's what I wanted to ask of North, and it's unfortunate I don't have the opportunity to do that, was whether or not he was aware of the fact that the court were involved in looking into his unshredded documents, and was he concerned that the information that would have been gained from that would blow a lot of what's being said in his book?
Well, let me tell you something, pal. Let me tell you something. You're trying to fool a lot of gullible people out there, but it's not going to work. Because it just so happens that in early 1983, an advisor to a senior government official did send Ollie North a weird magazine clipping about an Israeli conspiracy to dominate the world. And he suggested that Ollie North might want to look into it. And when he went to see the guy, he showed him the publication where the article had appeared. It was put out by LaRouche and guys like you. And what it was another anti-Israeli, anti-Semitic smear job, full of lies, totally fabricated, and exposing LaRouche for what he's always been, and what you obviously are if you're a follower of his.
Well, I don't follow anybody.
You don't follow anybody, you follow LaRouche, pal.
I follow you very closely, Bob. And I thought it was interesting that you found, when the earlier caller, it was important that he send you information. Now, this is information.
I know the phony I know the so-called
Washington Post.
I know the so-called information you're talking about.
Washington Post.
And it came out in early 1983, pal.
No, it didn't.
Was it 1981?
No, it wasn't. You're
It
wrong.
was 1983, pal.
The Washington Post went to trial again, or went into an
I'm talking
investigation.
about the magazine article that was given to North. That was in early 1983.
Hostage to Romania book printed. Author Robert Dreyfus went to trial, or was going into trial.
That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Arms dealing with Cyrus Hashemi, the cousin of
Ladies and gentlemen, this jerk on the line is a follower of LaRouche. Need I say more? Hey, jerk, get off my phone! On WABC, we're forging ahead. Here's Richard. Hello. There's no doubt in my mind that Il Supremo is going to announce for president. He's getting all ready to run for the presidency. And the sooner the better, because the sooner the American people get to know what a vicious guy he is, the better for all of us. Sanctimonious, self-serving. Now he says they can't redo the Horton bit. I don't think they can get away with the racism this time. The Willie Horton commercial was not racist. The Willie Horton commercial was a legitimate presentation of why Michael Dukakis oath was such a failure in Massachusetts. It was an anti-Dukakis oath commercial, not an anti-Horton. But what's so great about Horton? Is Il Supremo saying we should have eulogized Horton, lionized him? Hey, Mario, you know what? I hope you're listening right now as you drive over to the hotel. I'm invited over there thanks to my good friend Ray Harding. And Ray Harding is head of the Liberal Party, but I like Ray. I don't care if he is the head of the Liberal Party. I like Ray Harding. I think he's a decent man. But anyway, I'm invited to attend the Liberal Party dinner, as I'm invited every year. I don't think I'm going to go because I don't think I could stomach looking at Il Supremo. Mario, if you're watching, I'm sick of you, Mario. Get out there, declare for the presidency so the rest of America can find out what a fake, phony fraud you are. Will you do that? Thank you.
This is Vito Corleone.
Oh, Vito. It's it's been a long time, Vito, that you've called a broadcast.
That's right. I had to take care of that business for you in Sicily. Everything is straightened out.
I see. And you fulfilled the contract?
Well, that was your order, and we carried it out.
And did they find a nice resting place for Bonanima Salvatore?
No question about it. We got a little spot there for El Supremo, too, in case things get out of hand.
Uh-oh.
But anyway, as you know in the past, we have served you very faithfully and did many things for you. And now, we request something from you. Are you prepared?
Well,
your godfather?
My father told me, whenever the boys do you a favor, make sure you do a favor for them right away. That slams the lid on things for today. Until tomorrow, Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Kill Saddam Hussein. Kill him now. 6 o'clock. And anytime you want to make a case out of this, I can prove that I followed this up, and when he would not give me any tangible evidence for his charges, that was the end of that.
No, it wasn't the end.
Oh, get off the phone, you drunken bum. For heaven's sake.
No, this is important.
All right.
I'm calling to defend insider trading. I'm not here to defend Michael Milton, but I suppose by logical extension...
The only person who would defend insider trading is a skunk, a scumbag who would make money because he was guilty of insider trading.
Okay, but allow me at least to explain myself.
Well, of course, I should think you would have to explain yourself after that outrageous statement you made.
Okay. Insider trading is simply the process, the means by which individuals honestly acquire information not widely known to the public and put it to use in the stock market. It's no different from the opportunity that exists for anyone in any position to profit through specialized knowledge. It is no different from having a friend who's a car salesman tell you that this car has a better engine than the next car if you're looking for a better engine. Knowledge obtained through one's connection with a particular firm or company.
What are you reading from, pal?
Just allow me.
No, what are you reading from?
From my own notes.
No, I don't want you to read, pal.
Okay, let me...
You know, the guy that was on ahead of you is a real jerk, but I'll tell you one thing about him. He doesn't read anything. And if you're going to continue reading, I'll go to another caller, Fernando.
Okay, look. Knowledge and ideas are the product of individual effort.
You know, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you don't know what you're talking about. Why? Listen, jerk. Save us all a lot of time. Insider trading is a violation of the law. If it weren't, guys wouldn't go to jail for it.
The law is immoral.
Okay, the law is immoral. All right. What a jerk! I gotta get out of here. What am I doing here? Putting up with these louses? These bleep 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 bleep. I'm bleeping myself. It really doesn't take a great deal of scrutiny to realize that the national media loves to hone in on the election in Pennsylvania. And the story of what happened in New Jersey, I think, is equally important, maybe in some respects even more so. But because the media was so thrilled at the outcome, because they loved the finale, they focus on what happened in Pennsylvania, where this individual who has the charisma of a wet toad has become the senator from the state of Pennsylvania only because of the tragic death of John Hines. Whether it be the executive, whether it be the legislative, it's more than that. It's quite a sport here in America. It's a spectator sport. People like to talk about it, like to read about it, like to speculate. And who more than Il Supremo causes scratching of heads, wagging of tongues? He loves the attention he's getting by not making a decision, although, in my opinion, he has already made the decision. It's only when he will unveil that opinion. And not too long ago, I was beginning to think that it would be very tough for the president if Il Supremo became the challenger, if he were the Democratic nominee. I had become convinced that he would have made the strongest challenge to the president. I no longer feel that way. It isn't just Roger Stone's interview yesterday. It's a lot of other things that I picked up. And watching him last night on the public television called-in program, I thought to myself, if I were George Bush and I were watching this, I would hope the Democrats would pick you, Il Supremo. I would hope they would select you as the guy to run against me, because I think I'd have a better chance of beating you than some of the other guys. Did you notice the technique that Il Supremo has? He always bullies his interviewer right off the bat, completely demoralizes them, and he had Mr. Hepp, is it? Is that the fellow's name? Hepp, Dave Hepp? Nice guy, and I don't blame Mr. Hepp for being intimidated, but that's what Il Supremo did right off the bat. He intimidated him. But come on, Mario, throw the hat in the ring, will you? And take your lumps. Take your lumps. You love to dish it out, but you find it difficult to take. Not being elected dictator. Right. What do you suppose he'd try to do? What do you suppose he'd try to do?
I don't know, Jimmy.
Well, you don't know, but you're worried because you hear all this talk.
Yeah, but one thing, you think this could be a plot for the KKK?
Yeah, it's a plot for the KKK. Right, get off my phone, you sickola. I don't know why I come in here half the time, but I do know this. With all those sickolas out there, my ratings must be even higher than ever, because it's a known fact that the sickolas outnumber the normal people 20 to 1. And do you notice how many sickolas I have calling me all the time? They're up out there, the gavones, the Sicolas. Look, you asked me. You called. You asked me, John.
Never paid us back anything.
You asked me, John. I don't know why people call to ask me a question.
Because you know everything.
Well, then why, no, nobody knows everything.
You know everything about Al Devine. I figure you know what makes him tick or how he thinks.
Well, I know what makes you tick. You're a fake, you're a phony, you're a fraud, you're a two-bit jerk, and get off my phone, scumbag. What do you mind, Pat?
What's on my mind is the bashing that you are doing to Cuomo and Florio. Okay, and every time somebody gets on the radio with you, you call them cabon, gagazot, all this. Well, the only thing I got to say to you, you keep bashing those two governors, I'm going to call you a pieza de merda. Magavish.
Unfortunately, I do, Cabisco, and this guy that was just on the line is the quintessential gavone. Not on the line anymore. I hung up on him. Quintessential gavone, but that's his problem. Hey, Pat, I'll bash those two jerks as long as they require it. Mike, hello.
Oh, hello, Bob.
How does it grab you to know that a leading California legislator has bailed out the man in lieu of a mayor? What's his name? The attendant at the men's room at Club 21 Club? Oh, yeah, Dave Dinkins. He's bailed out his trip to South Africa with a whopping $50,000 contribution. The man in lieu of a mayor got a check from Willie Brown, Speaker of the California Assembly, for $50,000, which represents more than a third of the $145,000 collected so far, to pay for the week-long journey that starts Sunday. Nobody's complaining about it. Nobody's raising an eyebrow over it, except me, apparently. 43-member delegation is going, and we have to pay, the taxpayer has to pay for the 10 staffers, 10 staff people that the taxpayer has to pay so that this guy, who looks like he should be the attendant in the men's room at 21, can go to South Africa. Here's a guy with loads of money. Loads of money. You remember all the talk about the phony letter, or the letter that was purported to be phony, transferring his ownership of inner city broadcasting? He could afford it easily. But he's schnorring. But that's all right. There's some professions where you can do that. And he's got the protective skin pigmentation. Hey, Dave, come to think about it, what the heck? If we're a bunch of schmucks, take advantage of it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Enjoy. Enjoy, Dave. Go ahead.
So, Bob, there's nonsense about Magic Johnson's heterosexual transmission. Every article you read mentions heterosexual transmission. The media's shoving this BS story down our throats. It's darn near impossible for a man to get it from a woman. Why doesn't the media address Magic Johnson's homo activities, which are well documented? Why don't they investigate?
Wait a minute. Why are you shouting? Lester
has been a homo.
Lester.
I know it, and everybody knows it, and I'm sorry for the homo-loving media.
Why are you shouting, Lester? Why do you shout about? Well, he's gone. He probably just blew away. Probably like one of those balloons that, as the air is let out, it just disappears. Welcome to the Funny Farm, which otherwise is known as the Bob Grant Show.
Yo, Art.
Okay.
I would like to see by December 31st of this year Governor Cuomo dead, and I would like to see Mayor, whatever his name is, I call him Beam, I can't remember what his real name is, the current mayor dead. I'd like to see the artist that made that painting dead. And I would like to say that I will give a grant to anyone who would see that happening, as long as it was done legally, of course.
Well, you're talking about the attendant in the men's room at 21.
That's right.
I mean, I could just see him with a white jacket and a whisk broom. Really, because that's the way he's acted. He's acted like that rather than as the mayor he should be acting like.
Well, you just insulted every men's room attendant in New York, but I guess that's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. As a matter of fact, the attendant in the men's room at 21 is a big Bob Grant fan. I shouldn't be saying that. You're on WABC. Hello.
Hi, Bob. How are you? Tom Bard here from the Bronx, your pal. And I'd just like to say that I hope you wear those T-shirts. Bob?
What T-shirts?
The T-shirts I left for you at WABC.
What? Oh,
Palestinians.
Oh, those Palestinians. They were ugly T-shirts.
They were beautiful T-shirts.
They were ugly T-shirts. I wouldn't wear them. I use them as.
They represented humanity, Bob.
I use them as desk cloths around here.
They represented humanity.
They were absolutely ugly. I'm not talking about what they said. I'm talking about the color, the design.
Well, that's your opinion, but they put a message across, and it had to do with humanity, and I hope you wear them.
I don't know what your obsession with the Palestinians
well,
is.
How about a little humanity?
What is your obsession?
With a little humanity.
All right, I'll give you humanity. I'll get rid of you nice and easy. Here we are at 8 minutes before 4 o'clock.
Great to have in this world to go out and earn a living and survive. Now, the government, however, in this city subsidizes, don't they? That's why I want to ask you. Do they subsidize the substance methadone to untold numbers of people? I don't know how many people.
Well, yeah, there are methadone clinics in great proliferation throughout the city, yeah.
This is big business, isn't it, Bob?
Well, what is your point here, pal?
Well, look, no, it has nothing to do with pal or no pal. The point is, government cries for drug rehabilitation, and yet they're in big drug business. We, right in front of our noses every day, see scores of people go into holes in walls and come out with government drugs. And I don't care, sir, whether you call it contraband from Colombia
You're a strange guy, you know that?
Well, you tell me why.
You're weird. The way you talk, you're weird.
Will you tell me
You're weird. I'll bet you're a loner.
Look,
I'll bet you're a loner. I bet you're not married. I bet you don't have any friends, male or female. I'll bet you're the quintessential loner. You're a loner type guy. You can't relate to people.
Well, you're creating here an ad hominem conversation.
Yeah, I am. You know why? Because you sound weird. And one of the things I like about
Listen, man, there's nothing weirder. You listen to me. If you want to talk weird, I'll tell you something. You want to tell me weird, I'll tell you weird.
Okay, tell me weird.
Go out at night and look up into the sky. Look into the sky in the sunlight. And that's weird, my friend. We don't know where we are in this world.
Wow, this guy is weird. I was right.
Okay, man.
This guy is really weird.
But there's nothing that I said about the substance.
I'm surprised you didn't come in here with Gary Sick.
Did you ever hear of a substance called Adolphine? Yeah, okay. I hope your audience can hear me over your obvious childish sound effect.
I'm childish?
Very.
I'm childish?
You're
so immature. You haven't even been born yet.
I don't like it that the government is giving substances to these people. I don't like it whatsoever.
I don't like it either. But I don't like your style, pal. Your style.
So that's just personal, and it has nothing to do with the truth.
Hey, look, Stephen, I don't know how long you've been around.
Tell me.
But the fact of the matter is that they decided years ago that a methadone maintenance program was preferable to people being hooked on heroin. I happen to disagree with that policy. I disagree with that policy. I happen to agree with you. But I can still agree with you and note that you have an odd way of putting things.
Well, now, if we met at a cocktail party, I may be a little less brusque, but has the imminence.
You're very dramatic, Stephen.
Perhaps it has a bit to do with my method of survival.
Well, Stephen, all right. I tell you what. You can call again. I will welcome your call.
Thanks a lot, man.
I thank you for this call.
I mean, this New York in a mess, you know.
Well, I agree with Senator DeMott. It'd be nice if he would just stay there with that entourage.
That's like Ray Hanley going to the Colts. You know, it's like, they have a big problem in New York, you know what I mean? It's like, why go to another place that's got a big problem when you could really concentrate on your issues there?
Well, the guy wanted to schnorr a trip. He schnorred a trip. He pulled it off. He pulled off a big schnorr.
Well,
I mean, he really, he wanted to go so bad, but he didn't want to go bad enough to pay for it himself.
Exactly, I know, right. And I just want all the voters that voted for him to realize they got such an idiot, that's leaving New York City.
Yeah, but I tell you something. If you're standing in the men's room looking at yourself in the mirror, and he comes behind you with that whisk broom and it takes off, the dandruff from your shoulders, then you really appreciate him.
Exactly. Can I just say one more thing?
And he doesn't ask for a tip.
Oh, I know.
Clara, the only U.S. government... Hello, Frank.
Yes, Bob Grant. Bob, in the words of Jesse Jackson, Don't confuse the messenger with the message. That's what he said about his friend in Chicago, Louis Farrakhan, a few years ago. And I agree with Jesse's phrase. Let's not confuse the message with the messenger when it comes to David Duke. Because what David Duke is saying puts fear in the heart of the left-wing liberal scum that have ruined this country. Because what he's saying is not politically correct. What he is saying is politically true. And political truth is the one thing that the liberal left in this country fears more than anything. When David Duke talks about welfare, all you have to do is pick up today's daily news and see the headline. 1 million New Yorkers on welfare, helping to drag this city down and siphon off its money to take care of them. David Duke uses a phrase that I heard Bob Grant use 20 years ago, the double standard. And when a politician does not have the fear to use the phrase, the double standard, it means the beginning of the end, because the hypocrisies and lies can now be exposed. I think, Bob, that it is a disgrace when people like hypocrites, vile hypocrites like Stephen Solars and Schumer, can say they're going to hold an emergency meeting of the Democratic Party and go to discuss David Duke. Why wasn't there a immediately emergency meeting of the Democratic Party when that anti-Semite from Illinois, Gus Savage, was elected? Did anybody in the Democratic Party come out and denounce this vicious, racist pig? Not one word was said, and they all attended a fundraiser for this man. What does it mean when they threaten the people of Louisiana, who want to exercise their constitutional franchise by legally and peacefully electing David Duke by saying they're going to punish that state with boycotts? Does that mean that your vote as an American means absolutely nothing? If they're going to punish anybody, let's punish Illinois for electing Gus Savage. Let's punish New York, where the governor of this state funds a racist in City College. Let's get rid of this double standard. And I say, Bob Grant, if they punish that state, if they tell those people that they can't vote the way they want, that they're going to put a sword over their head, Bob, we're going to see the beginning of the Second American Civil War, because states' rights and individual rights and legal rights will be the issue over illegal pressure groups. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Frank is right.
Referring to a condom. I was in my mother's house.
That is not my term for a condom. Scumbag is not.
Use it, though, Bob.
It is not a term for a condom. That's your own imagination.
Well, I know I used to get my mouth washed out with soap when I used it as a kid.
Well, it's a good thing you're not a kid anymore. What's on your mind, pal?
That's what basically was on my mind. I mean, I work with...
Hey, look, I use the word... Look, do you know the word scum?
Hey, you're acting like it, Bob.
Let me ask you, Jimmy, since you want to have such an esoteric discussion, you know what scum is, don't you?
I have an idea.
Okay. Well, you have an idea? Well, tell me. Don't be vague. Don't be cryptic. What is it?
All right, Bob, listen, if you're going to use the term around, if you want to get really guttural, why don't you...
Well, okay, we had to ditch him because he really used vile language. There are a lot of gavones, the lower class. Here comes our program director, came into the control room wondering what's going on. Came in, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I don't know what's going on, John. I'm just doing the show, that's all. What? I put him on dump. He was dumped. It didn't go out. Okay. That was close. When they come walking in the control room, when a guy says what Jimmy says, usually that means it went out. But it didn't go out. Anyway, getting back to Jimmy. Guys like Jimmy, it's interesting. The lower educated types, the people of less intellect, get very upset over that term. But that term, you could say scum bucket. All right, we'll say scum bucket. Feel better about it? But no, you say scumbag and they go crazy. Who cares? Let them go crazy. But
letters from telegrams or whatever they were, mailgrams from people who objected to what you said about Magic Johnson.
Well, one was a mailgram supporting what I said, and the other was a letter castigating me in no uncertain terms.
I thought that you were quite generous. I mean, almost uncharacteristic in your generosity to Magic Johnson. I mean, I've been getting sick of this whole Magic Johnson thing. Still there are like stories on in the paper today, and I mean, the New York Times had an editorial on Saturday that basically...
Yeah, they said he was the president.
Yeah, it says Magic Johnson had AIDS, therefore Magic Johnson is good and George Bush is bad.
Well, he said that he offered the leadership that President Bush was not giving us. As though Magic Johnson woke up one morning and said, you know, my fellow Americans, I'm concerned about the AIDS epidemic, and therefore I'm going to offer the leadership to curtail it. The dummies who write the editorials for the New York Times completely overlook the fact the only reason he's involved is because he has the HIV virus.
Exactly.
If he didn't, he wouldn't have said a word.
Right, and so they say that Magic Johnson is offering positive leadership. Why didn't he offer enough leadership not to engage in the kind of activity that transmits the virus?
Yeah.
But, there's going to be more to this. What's interesting, there's going to be more to this story than there's more going to come out. I mean, any woman who's had sex with Magic Johnson knows that she did. I mean, he's not an anonymous person, so I'm sure that...
And isn't it interesting that the chances are 20 to 1 that a male would infect a female, but it's not easy for a female to infect a male.
Well, I'm sure that between Oprah and Geraldo and the National Enquirer, they're looking for all of his partners, and we'll be hearing more information about how he maybe or maybe didn't get it.
It's probably a lady sitting in the third row in the Sally Jesse Raphael audience who gave it to him. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I gave some perspective, and of course, people don't like it. They want everybody to march in lockstep.
Everybody, 100% has to be from the exact same side, just parrot the same politically correct Matilda Krim and
please, that cherub-faced old fink. Thank you for the call.
Okay. Napoleon.
Uh-oh.
Bob Grant, my most valued friend. I'm sitting down here with two children, Danielle and Ian, and they said, Grandpa, this man appears to be a very mean man. And I reassured them what a great man you are. Would you please tell these two children why you like children as much as you do?
Children?
Yes.
Well,
children.
Well, you know, I'm just a sucker for my own.
I know that.
It just I'm like everybody else. Well, not everybody else. Most everybody else. You just can't help but like them.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
You did the right thing.
It goes without saying.
It goes with this thing with David Duke. I think it's wonderful.
What do you mean?
Well, I hope he becomes president. Which will take care of some of the business that's been going around. And the Post made a big deal with John Gotti and this guy who ratted him out. If it was up to the Post, this guy'd be in the funeral parlor already. Didn't give him a chance. They call him a rat. They call him a fink. It's a shame.
Well, you don't like squealers, do you?
Well, I feel the same way you do.
Which is?
Rub them out.
What, squealers?
Goes without saying.
Ah, what? No, I don't know. Look, I'm for law and order. I'm for an honest society. What about you?
I'm with you, Bob Grant. You know why? Because you're the greatest man on radio today. And with that, I'll say stop the bone.
There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. The Don.
Hey. What I'm talking about, and what I'm talking... Why don't you stop laughing and listen? What I'm talking about specifically is some of the comments about David Duke you made in the last couple of days.
All right, go ahead.
You said he has a swastika in his closet. You said he sold vile books from his publication.
I didn't say he had a swastika in his closet.
I said that a couple of days ago.
All right,
and then just yesterday you said that if you lived in Louisiana, you'd hold your nose and vote for Edwin Edwards. Now I want to point out to you that I made a contribution to David Duke's presidential campaign in 1988, and they sent me back a cassette tape of an interview you did with him on your show. I have it right in front of me here, on December 15th, 1987. And you had a very nice, cordial conversation with him, and you didn't disagree with a single position he took.
Well, that's right. I don't agree with many of the positions he takes. I've said quite often, it's too bad he's got the philosophy, because it's a philosophy he is purloining from people like me.
Oh, baloney. You said, wait a minute.
Hey, wait a minute.
You didn't disagree.
Hey, Steve, cut it out. What do you mean baloney? Why do I have to give you baloney? Who the hell are you that I should give baloney to? You're nobody.
Where do you cut? Oh, and you're a big man.
I didn't say I was a big man, but you're nobody. I don't have to account to you for anything. You don't like the fact that I said I'd vote for Edwin Edwards? Well, that's too damn bad. I would.
Well, he's the same as Mario Cuomo, so I think that makes you quite a hypocrite. Okay?
Well, no, it doesn't make me a hypocrite. The fact of the matter is, David Duke didn't really change. If he really did, then I'd feel differently.
I didn't say he did change. And you're telling me that you got your ideas, that he got his ideas from you?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he got my ideas from his ideas from me, but what I am saying is his philosophy, if you didn't know who was saying it, is fine. There's nothing wrong with a lot of the things he says. However, when you realize who it is who's talking, then you have to conclude you can't vote for the guy.
Why not?
Why not?
Who it is? Who is he? What is he, a monster?
I don't know if he's a monster, but he hasn't really shed the Nazi beliefs, the Klan beliefs.
What do you mean he hasn't shed?
Oh, cut it out. What do you mean? What do you mean? We'll go on and on and on. Hey, look, you want to vote for him? Go down there and vote for him.
Well, let me just tell you this. Will you let me talk?
I'm listening.
Okay, you said that he sells vile books from his publication.
That's right.
All right, let me tell you something. I have one of his publications open in front of me right here. Can I read the top paragraph of it that's right on top of all the books?
Can you read?
Yeah, let me read it. It says, first of all, there's a big title. It says Suppressed Books. It says, in a time when the rankest of pornography can be purchased at any neighborhood drugstore, it's hard to imagine such a thing as a suppressed book. Many of the books listed here were denied regular publishing channels and stifled by the reviewing press. The brilliant dispossessed majority was even denied advertising space in Time and Newsweek. It should be understood that this listing does not mean that this publication endorses or agrees with every book listed. This book list is dedicated to your right to freely read both sides. Now, what's so terrible about that?
There's nothing terrible about that, but this isn't what we're talking about. We're not talking about that opening paragraph, Steve.
All right, well, do you want me to read some of the titles of these vile books to you?
No, you don't.
Are you trying to say that you seem to be supporting some kind of book burning without the flames? You just don't want these books to come to the public?
Oh, no.
Why can't I...
No, hey, hold it. Now you really are way out to sea, pal. Let me tell you, I don't want to burn any of his books. I don't want to deny him the right to sell any of his books. I'm just telling you that by virtue of the fact he has been selling those books, he has demonstrated that he hasn't completely renounced his past.
Well, what can I ask you what's so terrible about a book like The Dispossessed Majority?
Well, The Dispossessed Majority has a lot of good things, but if you're an Italian-American, you got to realize that you're left out because he keeps talking about making America a WASP country again. Well, that would leave me out. I'm not a WASP. And if you read Dispossessed Majority as I did, you know damn right well what I'm talking about. How dare you?
He doesn't say what is...
Yeah, he does too, pal. He does too, and you know it. You know it, Steve. You know it. He's not just talking about guys like me. He's talking about a very exclusive elite group.
He thinks that the WASP element in this country should run it. And I don't see what's so terrible about that.
Well, then that leaves me out, huh?
Well, I'm half Irish and half Italian, so it really doesn't. It leaves me out too, okay? And I don't see what's so terrible about that.
I don't want to be left out.
Well, listen, he says that some Italians are assimilable. He doesn't count them out.
Oh, he
just
says
thinks the
some
WASP
are.
element in this country should run it.
He says some are.
That doesn't bother me.
He says some are. Who's going to decide who is and who isn't? Him? Thank you for the calls. Thank you for the calls, Steve.
Oh, yeah, thank you for the call. Just hang up, right?
No, I'm not just going to hang up. I want to say goodbye first. Goodbye.
Well, let me make one other point then. You support Israel so much. I never hear you say anything about the Arabs being left out in Israel. You wouldn't deny the Jews running everything in Israel. Why can't the WASPs run everything in this country? You can make it sound like they want to put other people in gas chambers or something. Why can't they be the predominating element in this country?
You're comparing apples and oranges. And Steve, you realize how stupid you sound? Do you realize that?
Oh, yeah, you sound bright, Bob.
Thank you.
You're a piece of garbage. That's all I want to tell you. You're a piece of junk. Go ahead and laugh.
I am laughing. You don't have to tell me. I really should get out of here, really. 5 tonight. I have a tip that Il Supremo will be announcing tomorrow night. By the way, speaking of Il Supremo, he charged that President Bush made, quote, the worst deal possible in fighting the war against Iraq. And that's another tip-off that Il Supremo will be running for president. People have said, you have no foreign affairs experience, Mario, Il Supremo. And he's going to show that he does by coming out and saying that the war against Iraq was the worst deal the president could have made. This is the same Il Supremo who made the stupid statement in I believe it was August of 1990 or September of 1990, Saddam Hussein wants a little land, give him a little land. He wants a little oil, give him a little oil. This is same Il Supremo. Same Il Supremo. Hey, Mario, I think you're in town now because you're going to do your radio show tomorrow night when you announce for president. Mario, send. Dusi proprio non sfacciamo. Sfacciamo cornuto pure. Abavangol, I pay. This portion of Bob Grant Show is sponsored by America West Airlines. Vicious campaigns you and I have ever witnessed. It's going to be a bloody campaign. Il Supremo's getting in. Remember, you heard it first here. And no equivocation on my part. He's in. He's in. Il Supremo's running. And he's going to conduct one of the most vicious, one of the nastiest, one of the most vile campaigns in presidential history. John, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hi, Bob. How you doing?
What's on your mind besides how I'm doing, John? Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the eve, we are on the threshold of one of the most vicious, vile campaigns conducted by a street brawler, conducted by a vicious egomaniac by the name of Il Supremo. I just want you to know that. Take a deep breath. The air's still fairly clear, but beginning tomorrow, it's going to be, Is he announcing tonight or tomorrow night? When does he do his radio show? Tomorrow night. I think Thursday night. Yeah. Tomorrow night he'll be announcing. And then, look out. It's completely enthralled. The public will be somewhat enthralled, but then as time wears on, they'll realize that Il Supremo is a very vicious, sneering individual. So, Il Supremo, hurry up, reveal your true self to the American people so that we don't have to worry about you becoming the 42nd president of the United States. And, Mario, un momento, per piacere. Fa schifo.
Dinkins' anti-American remark in South Africa that he's finally home is not only a sign that he doesn't know the history of that area, but it's a vindication for Al D'Amato. Because by David Dinkins' own words, Al was just telling him to stay home and stop causing trouble for the rest of us back here in our real home. You know, Bob, David Dinkins, this guy is a man in his 60s going on the age of 5. He got this idea of going to South Africa, and he stomped up and down crying until he got his way, at the expense of others, of course. And whenever anyone submits a name to David Dinkins for appointment to a position, Bob, you ever notice that he shows his insecurity and childlike defiance by deliberately picking someone totally opposite? That's how he ended up with an anemic, puppet-appearing police commissioner, Brown, whose latest capitulation orders instruct our police to stay out of certain neighborhoods because they've been threatened by the bad guys. You know, the next order that'll come down from the police commissioner will be that the police have to stay inside the precinct after dark. But I think David Dinkins was just jealous of the attention that that communist Nelson Mandela and his murderous wife got when he came here to New York. And again, in little kid fashion, he had to show the world that he was worthy of the same type of attention.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
The information on how long Dinkins' scheduled visit to the United States is supposed to be.
How long his visit here will be?
Before he goes back home, you know.
Yeah, that's right. You know, he's making a great sacrifice. He left home to come here because he knows we need him.
You know it. You got it.
Yeah.
What can the people do to get rid of this guy? It's getting so ludicrous.
Well, 1993, there's another election. He was elected to a 4-year term.
Right.
And he's an absurdity. He's an embarrassment.
To all of us.
And only the fact that there are people who consider the color of his skin to be the only determining factor, that is the only thing that might force him upon us for another 4-year term, because there are people who are so immature that they say, well, we don't care whether he knows what he's doing or not, whether he's good or not. He's black, that's all that counts. Now, when those people gain a little sophistication, hopefully, and stop being so immature, then maybe they'll vote on the basis of what a person is capable of doing, what he has done, what he will do, what his programs are. But clearly, this jerk really it's an absurdity. It's an absolute absurdity.
It's a joke.
That he should be called the mayor. I can't even call him mayor anymore. Shall we do the good news first? All right. The good news first is Cedric Santaford, who snuck into this country from Guyana, who made those incredible remarks during the Howard Beach trial. He died of AIDS at 4:21 p.m. Tuesday at Brooklyn Veterans Hospital, where he had been since Friday. The sneering, leering, quelling countenance will quell no more. And there's something poetic about his dying of AIDS. And when you stop and think about it, since AIDS seems to take so long, it wasn't too long that he pressed charges back, well, he didn't press charges officially December 20th, 1986. He didn't press charges then. He pressed charges months later when he, after he had made a deal with his stooge, Charlie Hines, who unfortunately is the DA of Brooklyn. But anyway, I thought I'd start with the good news. By the way, how's this for chutzpah? Al Sharpie Sharpton, who walks around with 350 pounds on his body and 10 pounds of hair straightener on his head. He urged the Hasidic community to join with him and demand a federal investigation of Downstate Medical Center with its affiliated hospitals. And he's urged ultra-Orthodox Jews to join a march planned for next week to protest allegedly poor patient care. And yet, here's someone who never did condemn the savages. By the way, most of the savages have not been apprehended yet, nor will they ever be, responsible for the death of Yankel Rosenbaum. No, as a matter of fact, not a word ever said from Sharpie Sharpton about that. Never condemned them. By inference, seemed to approve of what they did. But anyway, now here he is, loaded with chutzpah, and he's asking these Orthodox Jews, these Hasidic folk, to join with him. If they do, they're schmucks. They join with him.